Hey there, Brandon here, and welcome to another episode of Stack and Scale, where B2B marketers go for the latest AI tips and tricks and secrets. And today we have our first return guest, Sam Calhoun. So on episode number 7, he showed us how to quickly and easily build an AI knowledge base using N8N and Notion. And today he's going to walk us through how to build an AEO visibility ranking tool so that you can see where you show up in the LLMs. So if you missed that episode or just forgot who Sam is, he's one of my partners over at The Forge, as well as the founder of GrowthPilot, where he helps agencies unlock operational leverage with AI-driven workflows. So he focuses a lot on designing and building and maintaining custom automations using these no-code and these low-code solutions. And of course, AEO was one of the top topics, the hottest topics that a lot of marketers are thinking about right now. And if you don't believe me, Kyle Poyer recently put out a survey, and in his report from the findings, which is his State of B2B GTM report, he asked B2B marketers and companies where they're placing the bets in 2026. And of course, answer engine optimization AEO was the top answer. So that's what Sam is going to help us with today. He's going to help answer the question, are you showing up in LLMs? Now, yes, of course, you could buy a tool that does this, but that's going to cost you a lot of money, and Sam's build here is just going to cost you pennies. So really quick, here's what the build does. So it asks the same high intent query to multiple large language models on a daily basis. It identifies where your company ranks in the list of each LLM, and then outputs a number into a running Google Sheet for each LLM. And the last thing I'll say about this episode is it's all Sam. He's going to run the show. It's all him. You don't have to hear from me at all. So without further ado, I'm actually just going to hand it over to Sam.
Okay, so today we're going to build an LLM visibility tracker right here in N8N. All you need is an OpenRouter connection and Google Sheets connected to your N8N account. So first off, I'm just going to make it kind of simple with a manual trigger. This could end up being a schedule later on, but just for the ease of testing right now, that's what I'm going to start out with. I'm then going to set up a set field node or an edit field node. And I'm just going to do LLM question. And then I'm going to set this up as like a high intent search term that I would put into an LLM, or I would expect my ICP to put into their LLM. I'm generally familiar with the event management space, so I'm just going to act like I'm an event marketer looking for a new event management platform. So from here, I'm just going to quick write this out. Okay, so first off, I feel like people in general are getting better and better at providing a little bit of context, at least when they're going into ChatGPT, for example. So I'm acting kind of like I'm like someone like, hey, this is my role. I work for a B2B company, and you could even put in target accounts here to see if it gives different answers. You could put slightly different wording, but basically I'm an event marketing director for a B2B company. I'm looking for a new event management software or platform. What event management platforms do you recommend? Okay, so we're just going to set that for right now. And then we're going to add an agent here. So this is the only way we're able to call OpenRouter right now. I'm just going to call this OpenAI agent real quick. And then I'm also going to build one for Perplexity. Okay, now add the chat model, OpenRouter, wonderful. So I want to be mindful of the tokens that we're using. I kind of like using 4.0 mini just for that reason. It gets you basically the results that you would normally get for a question like this. It's pretty low context, pretty simple. Yeah. So I'll set that up here. And then I'll also put in Perplexity. Oh, I need to do OpenRouter first. Perplexity. We're just going to do Seminar here. It's the simplest version that OpenRouter has available. Put that in. I'm also going to set the system message up in here. So this is basically going to be asking the agent, just give me a bullet, like give me 10 results, give it to me in bulleted order. This is basically going to let me more easily down the line have an agent look at the result and pick out a number within the list for where my company's name lands and then give that to Google Sheets. So I'm going to quick write the system message here. Okay, so what I've done here is I have put in the LLM question into the prompt. This is automatically a function. And it's connected to a chat trigger. We're defining it below. So I changed that setting and dragged in the LLM question that I set previously. And then also I added in the system message, provide results exclusively in a list format, listing your top 10 recommendations. Just kind of keeping that simple. I'm going to do the same thing here in the Perplexity version here. System message. Great. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so a couple steps here. So next, I'm going to call another agent to analyze that response. Okay, just let that kind of exist for right now. And for this analysis, I'm just going to do OpenAI again. First OpenRouter, and then for a mini. Great, awesome. And what I'll do here is I'll just duplicate this down here. Actually, wait. So let me quick run this, get an answer. Okay. So now I've got an output here. Okay. And then for the system message, I'm just going to ask it to pull out the list number that my company is in. So for this example, I'm just going to use whichever, I'll just do visible for right now. Okay, so right now I have the system message, and basically I'm asking it like, all right, analyze this output, identify the rank that Bizbo is in this list. Only return the number value. If Bizbo isn't on this list, return an A. So we're just going to do this real quick. Copy, paste. Awesome. We're going to connect this up here to city. And the next step is making sure, so we're going to have a merge agent, merge node here. We're just going to I'm just going to append for right now. We have 2 inputs. Make sure that everything makes sense. I found that when you end up merging these nodes, they come as the same variable. And so it's near impossible to be able to pull both of them in because they have the exact same name. So what we need to do is have a code node that's going to rename whatever this output is to something helpful. So I'm going to add a code node here, quick through JavaScript. Okay, so let me quick run this just to get the output name. And then what we're going to do, put that in here. I'm going to go into Claude here. So I found Claude to be super helpful for coding in N8N using JSON, using JavaScript. I've used, and if you've seen my other videos in the past, I've tried out the N8N helper custom GPT and OpenAI. I've tried Gemini. Claude is the best for this kind of thing. So I'm going to ask Claude to give me a code node to return a specific variable that's unique to that strain from OpenAI, and then I'll do the exact same thing but just have it renamed for Perplexity. Okay, so I've got this. Okay, so I got code from Claude. We're going to put that in here. Execute step. ChatGPT output is now 3. So what I'm now going to do is duplicate this guy, wire this up. I'm going to do, first I want to rename this put, then rename. Then in here, what I'm going to do, since this is the output that's already being created, I want this to be Perplexity output. And let me execute this step 2. Make sure that this is also running appropriately. This is taking a while. What's happening here? Then let's see if Perplexity output is 1. Let's see if that's accurate. Visible, yeah. Cool, awesome, sweet. So now we have 2 inputs coming in. So what's going to happen is this top path is going to run first, second path is going to run second, obviously. Both are going to input into the merge node. I'm then going to have Google Sheets, and I created a sheet, sample AEO tracking sheet, sheet 1, date. Okay, so let's execute previous nodes and like get all this information. And really what I should have done is I should just pin here. This is all, let's open this back up. ChatGPT output, Perplexity output, awesome. Okay, so here's an issue of what's going to happen here. Let me see if I can do. So I find that I need to like go back one step because this creates an array, and then also I need to use the first instead of the item delineator. This basically like makes sure that it's looking at the first value that each of these is creating. Kind of convoluted, but that's like the most consistent way I've been able to get that to work. And then the date today. So actually, I need to go back to in the Claude because I know that there's a code for this. Actually, here. So I've got today as a variable, but it gives me this weird date time format, and I want to make sure that I'm just outputting in like month, date, year. So what I'm gonna do here, so I'm asking it, how can I set this up to be not JSON today's date? No, I want to put in. Okay, so in JSON, yes, here. Okay, so this is how I'd put that in. So I'm gonna copy that, put that in for here, and then here it's okay. So that's what we've got now. Let's execute this step. So right here I have date OpenAI Perplexity. Pretty simple setup. See what we can do here. Execute this step. And boom. Okay, so it's sending 2. So this happened to me previously. And what ends up happening here is this merge node ends up outputting 2 things. So it runs the amount of it runs for the amounts of variables that the merge node is setting up. So what we need to do is kind of bring them both together here. And so what I'm going to do is actually just copy both of these into Claude and then tell it the problem. So I asked it the problem, I gave it the JSON code for those last 2 nodes. Let's see if it ends up working. Okay, awesome. So let's try this. So let's just add a code node here. And that's the really nice thing about N8N here is that like if things aren't going out the way you want, you can just have Claude write you a code node that will fix things almost immediately most of the time. I'm also gonna, it keeps giving me the today's date thing and I don't really care about that. I just want to fix the Perplexity and ChatGPT outputs. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, now we've got these 2 outputs coming in into one specific output. Still referencing the same ones, those are still valid. Let's execute that step again, go into here, and now we have the 1 output. So here, let me refresh here. Let's delete that and go back into N8N, test it again. All right, so from there, you can track your daily ranking. You can have this run multiple times a day if you want. So you can track your daily ranking within a specific LLM question within OpenAI, Perplexity, Claude, however many LLMs you want to track. And then over time, as you're getting data, you can create charts. You can also track a variety of other things here. You can track the sources here. You can set up the system message to pull up the sources instead and then have that as a separate sheet too. There are a lot of different directions you can take this, but overall this costs pennies to run and manage yourself instead of having something that you're spending potentially thousands of dollars on. Yeah, overall, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this JSON code just for you all, and that way you can kind of have a starting point and then play around with it from there. But happy workflowing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.